Have you ever noticed someone throwing you a weird look after you share good news? Or felt like a friend's compliments are more shade than praise? Listen, jealousy is real, and sometimes it's closer than you think. Today I'm diving into the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle signs that someone in your life might be low-key jealous of you. Let's be real. When you're shining bright, some people just can't handle the glare. So buckle up, because I'm about to spill ways to spot if someone's secretly salty about your success. 1. Gossip behind your back. All right, let's start with one of the most classic signs, gossiping behind your back, because nothing screams, "I'm insecure about your success," quite like whispering about it to other people instead of talking to you directly. Here's the thing. Jealousy loves an audience. When someone's feeling envious, they'd rather talk about your life with others than celebrate it with you. I mean, it's almost flattering, right? You're out here just living, and they're putting you at the center of their own reality show. Plot twist. You didn't even audition? A few years ago, when I landed my first big promotion, I noticed a friend I trusted was suddenly a bit off. Instead of congratulating me, they'd make tiny digs like, "Well, you know, people are always hiring for that position," or "Wow, lucky you. I heard it's not that hard to get." And then I started hearing through the grapevine that they were saying things about how I must have gotten lucky, or probably knew someone on the inside. The funniest part? I didn't even realize they felt that way until someone else casually brought it up at a party. It hit me like a truck. I thought we were close, but jealousy made them talk behind my back instead of being happy for me. That's the thing with jealousy. It often hides behind a smile and comes out when you're not in the room. If someone's doing this to you, it's not a reflection of who you are or what you've earned. It's a mirror to their own insecurities. At the end of the day, they're struggling with what they see in you that they're not seeing in themselves. So next time you hear someone's been gossiping about your success, remember, you're probably doing something they wish they could be doing. Don't let it stop you. People will always talk, but the ones who matter will celebrate you out loud. And for everyone else, let them enjoy the show because clearly they're watching. 2. Making you feel guilty for success. Here's a weird one that's shockingly common. They try to make you feel guilty for your success. You know, the classic "must be nice" or "some of us aren't that lucky" comments. They'll say it like a joke, but really it's a little dig designed to make you feel bad about the good things happening in your life. And listen, success is hard enough to achieve without someone making you feel guilty for it. You work hard, you earn what you've got, and then someone else comes along and tries to make it feel like you're somehow selfish for achieving your goals. It's like they're trying to tax you with guilt for being happy. I'll give you an example from my own life. When I bought my first car, a car I'd saved up for ages to afford, I thought everyone would be happy for me. I mean, this was a huge milestone. But one of my oldest friends, someone who'd seen me struggle to save every dollar, gave me this disappointed look and went, "Wow, must be nice. I'd love to be able to afford that, but I've got real bills to pay." And just like that, the excitement of that moment started fading. I remember thinking, am I not supposed to feel happy about this? It took me a while to realize what was happening. My success was highlighting their own insecurities, and instead of dealing with it, they tried to throw it back on me as guilt. It's an unfair tactic, and honestly, it can be pretty hurtful if you're not prepared for it. But here's the truth. Their feelings don't mean you're doing anything wrong. When people make you feel guilty about something you've worked for, that's a them problem, not a you problem. They'd rather try to bring you down than address what they're feeling inside. So here's the takeaway. Never let anyone make you feel ashamed for reaching your goals. You don't need anyone's permission to enjoy what you've earned, and you definitely don't owe an apology for your own success. If someone can't celebrate with you, then they're not really in your corner, And that's good to know sooner rather than later, because life's too short to play small just to make others feel comfortable. You deserve to own every bit of happiness you've earned. 3. Copycat behavior. All right, let's talk about copycats. You know, when someone suddenly starts mirroring everything you do, your style, your hobbies, even the way you talk. And don't get me wrong, imitation can be flattering, to a point. But when you notice someone picking up every little thing about you, it goes from admiration to straight-up single white female territory. They're not just inspired by you, they're trying to be you. And trust me, there's a fine line between appreciating someone and losing yourself because you're busy copying them. Let me tell you a little story. I once had a coworker who started copying everything I did. It started off small. She'd ask where I got my jacket or mention she liked a phrase I'd use. But then, suddenly, she's got the same haircut. She's dressing in the same color schemes. She's even taking up my hobbies. And get this, she started taking credit for my ideas at work. She'd mimic the way I presented things to our boss, and eventually she even started changing her social media posts to sound just like mine. I'm talking word-for-word captions. I remember thinking, is she a fan or just obsessed? It was funny at first, but then it felt like I was losing my own identity in my own space. I confronted her one day, casually asking if she'd noticed how similar our styles had become, and she brushed it off, saying, "Oh, I just think you have great taste." But deep down, I knew it wasn't just about taste. She felt insecure in her own lane, so she tried to merge into mine. And that's the thing about copycats. They don't want to do the hard work of creating their own path. Instead, they're threatened by you and want to try to capture whatever you have. The thing is, people copy you because they see something in you that they want for themselves, but can't seem to create on their own. And that's when it hit me. Being copied isn't just annoying, it's a reflection of what you bring to the table that others find valuable. But that doesn't mean you have to let it slide. Copycats will never have what you have because, at the end of the day, they're only seeing the surface. They don't see the hard work, the unique perspective, or the personality that makes your choices yours. So, if someone's out there copying you, take it as a compliment. But also remember that you're irreplaceable. They might try to mimic every detail, but they can't take what's uniquely you. Keep doing your thing and let them try to keep up. In the end, there's only one original, and that's you. Because no one can copy authenticity. 4. They bring up your past mistakes. Let's be real, we all have past mistakes, those cringe moments we'd love to forget. But here's the thing, people who really care about you don't feel the need to bring them up every chance they get. Yet when someone's jealous, it's like they keep a little highlight reel of all your slip-ups ready to roll. The moment you start shining, they're like, "Remember that time you messed up?" And it's not because they're trying to keep you humble. It's because they feel threatened by your progress and need to knock you down a peg. I'll never forget a friend from a few years back who had this habit. Every time I accomplished something new, they'd casually remind me of some ancient slip-up, like the time I bombed a college project presentation or fumbled an interview. I remember I'd landed a big opportunity I'd been dreaming of for years, and their first reaction wasn't, "Congratulations." No, it was, "Wow, that's amazing." And to think, I remember when you couldn't even handle a group project without messing it up. I was floored. Here I am, reaching new heights, and instead of seeing that, they're trying to anchor me to the past. At first, I laughed it off, thinking it was harmless, but it started to become a pattern. Every time I succeeded, they'd try to remind me of who I used to be instead of who I'd worked hard to become. This behavior isn't about you, though. It's about them feeling uneasy with your growth. They see your progress, and instead of congratulating you, they reach for the past because they can't handle the present version of you. And honestly, that's a huge indicator of jealousy. They're using your past as a way to make themselves feel better in the moment, but in reality, they're just highlighting their own discomfort with what you're becoming. Here's the thing. Growth means learning from mistakes, not being chained to them. And real friends, real supporters, they're the ones who see how far you've come and cheer for you, not throw your past in your face like a cheap shot. If someone keeps bringing up who you were, it's usually because they're afraid of who you're becoming. So, let them live in the past if they want to. You've moved forward, and they're the ones choosing to stay stuck. Next time someone tries to throw an old mistake in your face, remember this. You're not that person anymore, and you don't owe anyone an apology for outgrowing your old self. Let them watch from the sidelines while you keep leveling up, because in the end, your growth isn't just a sign of your strength. It's a reminder that you're moving in a direction they can only dream about. 5. Making fun of your dreams. Let's talk about those people who love to make fun of your dreams. You know the type. They hear about your big plans, and suddenly it's open mic night. Oh, you want to start your own business? Good luck with that. Or, so, you're going to be a singer now? Ha, maybe I'll come watch, if it's free. They throw shade, not because they're just joking, but because your dreams remind them of the ones they gave up on. They can't handle the fact that you're going after something big, so they turn it into a punchline. Listen, I've been there. When I first started talking about some of my biggest goals, like wanting to work in a creative field and build my own brand, there were people who couldn't resist poking fun. Friends would say things like, "Oh, so you think you're going to be famous or something?" Or, "Yeah, right, like people are really going to follow you for that." At first, I'd laugh along, pretending I wasn't hurt. But deep down, it was crushing. Here I was, putting myself out there, and people I cared about made me feel like my dreams were a joke. But then I realized something. They weren't making fun of my dreams because my dreams were funny. They were doing it because my dreams scared them. It reminded them of what they wanted and either never tried or gave up on. My willingness to chase after something big. It was a mirror they didn't want to look into, so they turned it into a joke instead. Here's the truth about dream crushers. They're often people who felt that same spark once, but let fear or self-doubt snuff it out. Seeing you go after something reminds them of a risk they didn't take, a dream they didn't believe in enough, or a path they chose not to walk. And rather than dealing with their own regrets, they try to throw water on your fire so they don't feel the burn of their own choices. So, if you're chasing a dream and someone's making fun of it, remember this. They're laughing at themselves more than at you. They're the ones stuck, watching from the sidelines while you're out there playing the game. And here's the best part. When you make those dreams come true, they'll be the ones scratching their heads, wondering how you did it. So keep dreaming, keep pushing, and don't let anyone's laughter turn into a leash. Your dreams aren't there to entertain anyone else. They're there to fulfill you. And hey, when you reach the top, those jokes, they'll sound pretty hollow, don't you think? 6. Their jokes feel personal. The jokes that hit a little too close to home. You know what I'm talking about. When someone's joke feels more like a jab, but they cover it with a laugh and a quick, "I'm just kidding." It's like they're using humor as a free pass to get under your skin. People who are low-key jealous love these little digs. They're not funny, they're personal, and they're aimed at what makes you proud, what you've achieved, or what they know is important to you. These aren't jokes, they're insecurities with a punchline. Let me tell you, I had a friend who was a pro at this. I remember I'd gotten into a new fitness routine, something I'd been working hard on and was finally seeing results with. And one day, out of nowhere, this friend says, "Oh, look, we've got a fitness guru over here. Don't hurt yourself now with all those selfies." I laughed it off at first, but it kept happening. Whenever I'd share a milestone or even mention the gym, they'd have something funny to say about it. It started to feel like they weren't actually joking at all. They were just looking for ways to make me feel self-conscious about something I was excited about. It was as if every joke was designed to make me second-guess myself. Tuna. But here's the thing. I eventually realized that these so-called jokes weren't about me. They were about them, and whatever discomfort my progress stirred up in them. When someone's jokes constantly go after what you're proud of, it's usually a sign that they're struggling with that same area in their own life. They see you getting somewhere they haven't dared to go, and instead of cheering you on, they hide their envy behind sarcasm and jokes that land just a little too hard. It's a classic case of, I want what you have, but I can't admit it, so I'll mask it as humor. Here's the real takeaway. When someone's jokes are more hurtful than funny, it's a reflection of their own insecurities, not your worth. People who are happy with themselves don't feel the need to make others feel small. So the next time someone makes a joke about your success, your dreams, or even your style, recognize it for what it is. Don't let it shake you, and don't waste energy trying to prove yourself to them. Your life isn't their punchline. It's yours to celebrate and live boldly. People who try to knock you down with jokes are often just struggling with their own self-worth. So let them laugh, let them make their little comments, and keep on doing you. Because here's the best part. Your success speaks louder than any joke they can come up with. And trust me, when you keep pushing forward those little digs, they lose their edge. Because at the end of the day, you're moving forward, and they're still standing there cracking jokes from the sidelines. 7. Always competing with you. Let's talk about the hidden competitor, folks. You know, that friend or co-worker who just has to one-up you. You could be sharing something as simple as, I finally organized my closet, and suddenly they're telling you how they color-coded and alphabetized theirs last weekend. Or say you just landed a new job. Instead of being happy for you, they're out here subtly reminding everyone about their last 2 promotions. It's as if your achievements are merely prompts for them to whip out their own accomplishments. But here's the kicker. They're not just trying to keep up. They're turning your life into a race you didn't even sign up for. I had a friend who turned everything into a competition. I'd be like, hey, I finally finished that big project at work, and without missing a beat, they'd go, oh yeah? I'm managing 3 projects at once, no biggie. Or, if I shared something cool I'd done, like picking up a new skill, suddenly they'd already mastered it. It got to the point where I'd hesitate to share anything because I knew they'd swoop in with their own story. It was exhausting. Here I was, just trying to celebrate my little wins, and they'd somehow spin it to make me feel like I was always lagging behind. And that's the thing. People who constantly compete with you are actually not rooting for you. They're too caught up measuring their self-worth against yours to appreciate your success. The more you achieve, the more insecure they feel, because they're looking at life through a lens of scarcity, as if there's only room for one person to shine. So they'll turn even the smallest achievements into a reason to assert their own superiority. They see your accomplishments as a threat, not a triumph. There's one story in particular that really opened my eyes. I remember when I finally saved up enough to take a big trip I'd been planning for years. It was a huge deal for me, something I was so proud of. But as soon as I shared it with this friend, they hit me with, oh yeah, I did a similar trip last year, but I went for 3 weeks, not 2, and I stayed in these incredible 5-star resorts the whole time. Oh, you'll love it. But it's just so different when you have more time, you know? I felt deflated. I'd worked hard, planned every detail, and instead of being happy for me, they just made it sound like my achievement was less than. That's when I realized this wasn't about support or even sharing experiences. They wanted to win a competition I didn't know we were in. If you're dealing with someone like this, here's the hard truth. Their need to compete isn't about you. It's about their own insecurities. People who measure their worth against others will always feel threatened by someone else's success. They don't see your achievements as evidence of your growth. They see them as reminders of their own limitations, and that's something they struggle to face. The need to compete often stems from a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy. It's their way of coping with their own fears and shortcomings, trying to convince themselves that they're enough by outdoing you. Real friends, though, they don't keep score. True supporters know that someone else's success doesn't dim their own light. Life isn't a contest. There's no finish line, and there's enough room at the top for everyone who works to get there. A healthy friendship or relationship is built on celebrating each other, not tearing each other down or competing every step of the way. You're here to thrive, not to play someone else's game. So the next time someone turns your good news into their chance to win, remember they're stuck in a mindset that doesn't allow for mutual success. Don't let their need to compete hold you back from being proud of what you've achieved. Let them keep playing their game, because you're on a whole different journey, one where you get to celebrate your wins without measuring them against anyone else's. So keep shining, stay true to your path, and remember, you're unstoppable, and no competition can take that away from you. 8. Projecting their insecurities onto you. All right, folks, let's talk about one of the sneakiest forms of jealousy, projection. This is when someone has their own doubts, fears, and insecurities, but instead of owning up to them, they turn around and throw them on you. They'll say things like, "Are you sure you're ready for that promotion?" Or, "Moving to a new city seems risky. What if it doesn't work out?" You're left wondering where all this negativity is coming from, right? But here's the catch. It's not coming from you. It's their own fears talking, and they're trying to make them your problem. I had this friend once who would constantly project his fears onto me. Anytime I shared something ambitious I wanted to do, he'd get this concerned look on his face and go, "Are you sure that's a good idea? What if it's too much for you?" I remember telling him I wanted to start my own business, and right away he started going on about how unstable that lifestyle is, and how I should just stick to something secure. At first I thought he was just trying to look out for me, but after a while I realized these fears weren't actually mine. They were his. He'd always wanted to do something bold himself, but his own doubts had held him back, so instead of cheering me on, he tried to project those fears onto me. The thing is, people project their insecurities because they're uncomfortable with the idea of someone they know breaking through limitations they feel bound by. If you're doing something they've always wanted to do but never dared to try, it makes them question all their choices. It's like your ambition holds up a mirror to all the things they're too afraid to chase, and that scares them. Instead of working on their fears, they'd rather try to make you feel as doubtful as they do. I'll never forget the time I told a family member I was going to move out of state for a big job opportunity. It was something I'd dreamed of for years. But instead of being excited for me, she hit me with, "Moving sounds like such a huge risk. What if it's too expensive, or you end up not liking it?" And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that she had always wanted to make a big move herself, but had never taken the leap. So rather than encouraging me, she projected her fears about the unknown onto me, making me question something I'd been so sure of. It's like people would rather keep you in the safe, predictable box they've put themselves in because it reassures them that they're making the right choice by playing it safe. This kind of jealousy-fueled projection really speaks to the scarcity mindset a lot of people carry. Instead of seeing success as something abundant that everyone can have, they think there's only room for a few people at the top. So if you start pushing your limits, it feels like a threat to them. It reminds them of all the things they haven't dared to do, all the dreams they've left unrealized. And let's be real, most people would rather keep others down than face the uncomfortable truth about why they've stayed in their comfort zone. But here's the reality. Their doubts and fears have nothing to do with your potential. People who project insecurities are often the ones who are stuck in place because they don't have the courage to take the risks you're taking. When they tell you it's too hard or what if you fail, it's because they're too afraid to ask themselves those same questions. They're comfortable staying where they are, so they'll try to convince you that stepping out of line is dangerous too. There was this one time I mentioned to a friend that I was considering a total career change, a big leap into something I was passionate about but had little experience in. I'll never forget their reaction. They said, "But you're already good at what you're doing. Why mess with a good thing?" And that's when I realized they weren't questioning my decision. They were questioning their own. They were terrified of the idea of leaving their safe, known career, so they tried to project that fear onto me. They were saying, "Don't do what I'm too scared to try," without even realizing it. People who project their insecurities are almost always dealing with their own inner battles. They're trying to rationalize staying in their comfort zone by convincing you to stay in yours. And when they see you stepping outside of it, it's like a silent reminder that they've made excuses for not chasing their own dreams, and they don't want to be reminded of that. It's easier to make you question yourself than to question why they haven't gone after what they want. Projection isn't your problem to solve. Remember, they're carrying their own fears, and their jealous comments or discouraging advice is just them offloading those fears onto you. It's not about you at all. It's their way of dealing with their own doubts. So next time someone tries to make you feel like your dreams are too big or your ambitions are too risky, know that they're speaking from a place of limitation, and that limitation is theirs, not yours. Here's my advice. Don't let someone else's projections hold you back. You're allowed to live beyond their comfort zone. Let them deal with their fears. You've got a path to carve out for yourself. Keep pushing, keep growing, and remember, their limits don't define yours. Just because they can't see the vision doesn't mean you're not capable of achieving it. So, go for it. Dream big and let them project all they want, because nothing they say can stop you from reaching what's meant for you. So that wraps up our deep dive into signs someone might be a little, let's say, invested in your life, maybe even a bit envious. Jealousy is a tricky thing. It's human, it's relatable, but it can also get under your skin if you don't know how to handle it. The truth is, when someone projects their insecurities onto you, competes with you, or tries to make you feel small, it's a sign that your light is shining brightly enough to make them notice. And sure, that can be uncomfortable to deal with, but it can also be one of the biggest indicators that you're doing something right. Think about it. When people invest that much energy into keeping tabs on you, that says more about them than it ever will about you. You've become a reminder of potential they haven't reached, goals they haven't dared to chase, or dreams they might have shelved. But here's the golden truth. Just because they can't see your vision, or maybe don't believe in your dreams, doesn't mean you have to stop believing. In fact, it's even more reason to keep pushing forward. I remember a time in my life when I let other people's opinions really mess with my head. There were a few friends who'd constantly throw in little jabs about my goals. Things like, "Why are you working so hard? Take it easy, you don't need to be so ambitious." And for a while, I let that affect me. I wondered if maybe I was pushing too hard or expecting too much. But looking back, I realized that those were just people who didn't understand my journey. They didn't see the vision I had, and they weren't supposed to. Not everyone's going to understand your drive, your passion, or the reasons behind your dreams, and that's perfectly okay. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Your dreams, your ambitions, and the life you want are yours to pursue. Don't let anyone's jealousy or insecurity sidetrack you. People will try to keep you in a box because that's where they're comfortable. They'll question your decisions, criticize your path, and sometimes even make fun of your dreams. But if they're doing that, it's usually because they've either given up on their own dreams or they're afraid to take risks themselves. And that's their journey, not yours. When I finally learned to let go of other people's opinions and just focus on my path, things started to shift. I started setting boundaries with those people who couldn't be happy for me, and I found people who genuinely supported my goals. That's when I realized that the journey to success, happiness, and self-fulfillment isn't just about achieving goals. It's also about choosing who you surround yourself with along the way. You need people who lift you up, who challenge you in a healthy way, who push you to be better, not people who feel the need to compete or project their fears onto you. So, my advice: keep shining, keep growing. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. And don't let anyone tell you that your dreams are too big, too bold, or too different. You have every right to pursue what makes you feel alive and fulfilled. And for every person who might doubt you, project onto you, or try to drag you down, remember that there are also people out there who'll support and celebrate your journey. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding them. All right. So if you liked this video, if you felt called out or empowered, hit that like button, leave a comment down below on what signs of jealousy you've noticed, and don't forget to subscribe for more real talk on self-growth, relationships, and handling those complicated dynamics that we all face. I want you to walk away from this feeling confident in yourself, because the truth is, people's jealousy is rarely about you. It's almost always about them. So stay focused on your journey, keep building the life you want, and remember, you're allowed to be as big, bold, and ambitious as you want to be. Thanks for watching, for sticking with me to the end, and for choosing to be a part of this journey. Let's keep supporting each other. Let's keep building each other up. And most importantly, let's keep being unapologetically ourselves. Until next time, keep shining, keep believing in yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.